This is Steve Anthony, and you're listening to ThatRadio.com.
Everybody, welcome to the show. You're in the green room with, well, it's not 3 actors who give a damn anymore. It's actually like 3 students.
You don't really give a damn anymore.
No one gives a damn anymore. We're just,
damn it,
you know, trying to market to a younger audience, I guess. Keeping the same audience though, you know, expanding, I guess you'd say. So today we got a new arrival here. We got Shayna Silver-Bard. Baird. My bad.
It's all good.
Yeah, we were just talking about whether that's Native American. It's actually Scottish. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Shayna?
All right, sure. I'm a second-year student at York University in the Acting Conservatory. Let's see, what else should I let everyone know about myself? I'm Toronto-born. Still living here, although I am up in North York, which feels like the boonies to me right now. And I'm really excited to be here.
That's great. Also, we got Anna Ross from U of T.
Yep, I'm back for another week, and I'm happy to be here. Today I actually had a kind of an interesting experience coming over here. I didn't get that much sleep last night, so I went to the subway, and I started heading southbound, but I forgot I wasn't on the Young Line, so I just kind of... I did the big loop.
Putting a good track, eh? That's a bummer. Well, today on the show, we have an interesting guest. We have Mr. Steve Mann over here. Happy to have you here.
Thanks, man. Good to be here.
That's great. So we're going to be talking a little about... he's a casting director.
Yes.
Got to mention.
Yes.
Kind of important.
Stephen Mann of Mann Casting. I was actually wondering, how long have you been the head of Mann Casting?
Well, I've been casting for over 10 years, actually. So it's been a while, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And you like doing it, I guess.
Sure, I love it. It's a great job. It's get to meet a lot of interesting creative people, a lot of actors, a lot of creative writers, directors, producers. It's a great environment, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what would you say you like best about doing it? It's just probably meeting the people, or you had to pick one thing, you know, that stands above?
The one thing. Well, I think, listen, it's great that I don't have to wear a suit to work every morning, and my hours sort of sometimes fluctuate. It's a sort of a feast or famine industry. When you're busy, you're really busy. When you're not, you're really not.
It's hurry up and wait.
Yeah, no doubt. So, you know, and it's just a real casual, you know, fun industry to work in. It's a wonderful thing. I love it. Yeah.
That is great. So, yeah, go ahead.
Just preliminary question. How did you get into being a casting director? Like, what's the path to get there?
Well, you know, my path was relatively, it wasn't a conventional path for sure. I kind of fell into it by fluke. I started as a child actor, and a very unsuccessful child actor, and then I went to university for film and radio, and then I was at Q107 radio, producing morning radio and doing some on-air stuff and writing, and I mean, my background is as a comedy writer, and then I moved over to TSN, and I was writing a show called Off the Record, which is actually still on. And then I left there, and I was just sort of freelance writing. And when you're freelance, it means you don't have a lot of income. So actually, my mom, Gloria Mann, was a casting director and has been a casting director for 35 years, and suggested that I come and just sort of start directing sessions. You know how sometimes when you go into a casting session, there's somebody there to direct, because the director usually isn't there on the original session. He's usually there on the recall. So I started doing that, and 11 years later, here I am. I've been doing it ever since.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything that you really don't like about being a casting director?
There's a few things. I mean, for one, I don't like the notion that you can't please everybody all the time. I mean, one thing I deal with is volume. Yeah. And there are a lot of great people and a lot of talented people in this city. And when you're putting together a session, you can't please everybody. There are really good actors that are like, why am I not getting in? And I feel bad about that because I know everybody, especially in this recession, everybody wants opportunity. Everybody wants to make a living and have that opportunity. But it's really tough to please everybody because if you have 25 slots open to audition a certain role and you have 300 submissions, there are people that are not going to be happy with you. And it's not personal. It's not personal. It's just the way it is, the nature of the business.
Fit for the piece, yeah.
Oh yeah, listen, if I had a nickel every time any actor came up to me and said, "Why am I not being brought in?" or "Why does this casting director not see me?" It's not personal. It's not because you're not a good performer or a good actor. It's the politics of the business.
So people have sometimes taken out frustration on you?
Well, no, I wouldn't go that far because they would. That'd be crazy. I think some people have asked me, and I'll say to them like, look, I've brought you in the past. Sometimes you like to mix it up. One thing that there's no shortage of talent in this market. Especially with commercials. When it's really a look-driven kind of gig. Very rare do we have commercials that are, have a script for you to sort of, dig your teeth into and go home and practice and are so, heavily character driven. It's really just a vibe and a personality and what you exude in the casting room. So it's very difficult to get, you can't get everybody in. I mean, you try to get as many people in as you can, but that being said, there's always going to be people that are like, why didn't you bring me in?
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I feel bad.
It's a lot of letting people down.
Well, not intentionally.
Yeah, but you kind of have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of the reality of how many actors there are out there. And
it's unbelievable, honestly. The volume. I'm actually casting a spot tomorrow, and actually Randy, I don't know where Randy is. Randy's coming in for me. It's a Walmart commercial, and even in that role, there was I think like 350 submissions, and I brought 40 people in, and they're all good, and it's a real mix. You try to really cover your bases. At least I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Would you say the main thing that gets people into an audition that gets them that spot, the opportunity, is that a headshot, or is there more?
Well, if you're new, a good headshot is like your calling card. It's your license. It's very important. But I know there are people that I've auditioned in the past that have a crappy headshot, but I've auditioned them so many times that I know what they bring to the table. So I'm not really judging them on their headshot. However, there are people, in fact, recently I brought somebody in just kind of on a whim, and I thought their headshot was terribly outdated, and they came in and they booked the spot. And now I know that this person's got some skills, but, the headshot is not something that you'd look at and be like, wow, who did those shots? Because, they're the type of shots where any cat at Sears could have done them. Or your uncle could have taken that picture, If your uncle has a camera, that is.
Exactly.
I don't know if your uncle has a camera.
He does, actually.
Really?
Could have been my uncle that did it.
Really? Does your uncle do headshots?
No, he doesn't.
Sorry.
But that headshot, possibly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, a headshot is, especially if you're new, it's important. It's important to have a quality shot, and there's so many photographers out there, and it really comes down to just, your own sort of taste. It's always important to sort of look at their body of work and to go and speak to all of them. And because when you're there, it's got to be a playful and fun and kind of chill environment because you're trying to, different pictures, you want to be loose, you want to be fun, you want to be just relaxed. And some people will bring that out naturally, and some people will just make you like, okay, this guy's creepy, I'd like to go home.
Yeah.
So it's really, one thing I'd say is just sort of explore all the options out there because there are tons of quality photographers in Toronto.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
so what was it about that one pretty crappy headshot that you just got the person in anyways?
Well, because to be honest, I had actually seen just about everybody else that had been submitted. It wasn't. It was a non-union job. There weren't a ton of options left, and I just kind of took a flyer on it. We did the original session, and the client was happy. But like always, I always say. We want more. We want to see more. So I brought in a few additional people, and this girl wound up booking the spot. And I'll be honest, I know just about every actor in this industry, and have auditioned almost everybody. I didn't know this person. I didn't.
So it's just a new person, new face?
Well, I don't know if she's new per se, but it's just somebody that I haven't auditioned. You can't always bring in new people. You try. You certainly try to bring in people that are new. We have relationships with agents, and agents will push them in a professional way and say, I think you should see this person. This person's really great. But there's still people that I don't know, that I haven't brought in.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were all wondering, like, because a lot of actors out there trying to make it. What would make a really good headshot? Like, what would right away appeal to you if you were looking at a headshot?
That's a tough question. I don't know. To be honest, like some people, I've heard the argument, should I be in color? Should it be black and white? To me, it really doesn't make a difference. If it looks modern, there are certain agencies out there that, all the pictures are very bland and generic. That perhaps they have an in-house photographer that's affiliated with the agency. And they tend to be very bland. But a lot of those agencies, I think, are predominantly background or people that are sort of really not as, I don't want to say dedicated, but it's, you should, no agent should really tell you where to have your pictures done. You should really go out and find the right fit for you.
Yeah.
Based on their body of work, based on the vibe you catch from those people. But I think just something that's kind of live and you want, I think it's important to have a few different shots, something that's maybe, and now keep in mind that I'm speaking strictly from a commercial perspective,
right?
Because I'm not,
you don't do
I do film, some film, I do some long format, but my bread and butter is commercial. So it's good to have a few different sort of headshots, perhaps maybe one that's a little bit more playful. Maybe one, let's say you're getting submitted as like an office worker. Maybe one that's perhaps a little bit more, more professional.
Yeah.
And then one just a little bit more playful. But I always say avoid the generic. Avoid that kind of framed,
squared, yeah.
All right, 1, 2, 3, say cheese kind of shot. Because that doesn't appeal to me. But
no.
Then again, as I said at the beginning, there are people with really crappy headshots that are phenomenal actors.
Yeah, but you might as well have a good headshot.
Doesn't hurt.
To get you in. Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Why not?
Can't be bad.
Yeah.
No, none of us, I guess, were here last time you were here. You were actually a guest in the show a little while back.
Yes.
I remember reading something online about you tearing apart Randy's headshot. Is that right?
Actually, Randy's got a
Saw
new
that too.
headshot. If there's any way that we can pull that headshot, your new one up on screen, it actually it's really
over the course.
It's really good.
All right, Randy's on that one.
Yeah, no, his new headshot is really good. His old headshot, I thought sort of was maybe like a promo poster for Variety Village, but no, his new headshot. And I wanted to tell you because I know it's your Facebook page, it's your Facebook picture, right? Is that it? Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. But again, I mean, we told a funny story. Like Randy was one of those guys that just kind of got caught up in the numbers game. Has a great agent. Was submitted. I didn't know him. I hadn't auditioned him. By fluke, I was doing a job, and the agent, one of the agency cats, knew Randy and said, "You know what? Bring in Randy Thomas." And I did, and I've been bringing you in pretty regular since then because when I saw him in person, I said to him, "Man, that is not a good reflection.
Yeah,
your headshot does not really give a really good sort of
indication of what you look like.
Not at all.
Yeah,
but his new one, he sure is handsome.
Oh, how? Is that the one where he's sitting in the chair? Which one
he's
that?
in a chair, and I think he's wearing the "Honk If You Love Al Qaeda" T-shirt. Is that what you? Is that the one you were? No,
Wow.
maybe not. All right. Good night, everybody.
And on that note,
No, because actually, I was just doing a student film that I ended up casting Randy for. That's how I met him.
Mm-hmm.
Or he met me, I guess. And I just thought it looked like a fun. He looked like a funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's just sitting there all serious, I don't know, like a wine connoisseur.
Are we talking about the old headshot?
I don't know which this would be. Is that the new one?
We need to pull up the new.
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah, we need a
We've
visual.
been talking about this so much. We need to. I need to see a
it's
reference
buzzworthy,
here.
All right.
I'll tell you, he's. I could see this headshot on the cover of Tiger Beat magazine, right next to John Stamos, Bob Saget, and Randy C.J. Thomas.
Oh,
Mr.
that's awesome.
Mr. July.
Hey, what would be the worst headshot you've ever seen? Do you have one that's right in-
No, you know what? No. I mean, some are just
a webcam shot, anything like that bad, or
there are some people that sort of send me pictures. I'll post jobs on. I have a Facebook page. I always look outside of the agents as well because I'm always digging for new nuggets and quality people.
Yeah.
And there are certain people like if I post a job, let's say on Craigslist, there's a lot of people out there, and there are people who will send me these headshots, and I'm looking for this let's say the spec is I'm looking for a Procter and Gamble type of mom, a really a pretty non-threatening regular 35-year-old mom, and I'm getting a woman with tattoos, and, a big nose ring, and it was
That's not
Yeah,
gonna
you
work.
can be a mom on paper, but in the commercial world, you're not going to be viewed as a mom. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
unless you eat your child.
Get like
you
a
know?
little more archetypical.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it's commercials are usually very safe. I mean, let's face it. How many times have you put on the TV and seen an interracial couple? How many times have you gone to the mall and not seen an interracial couple? I mean, that's a problem to me. You
Doesn't
know,
really reflect reality. But
it really doesn't.
kind of the way it
Commercials are
works,
pretty
eh?
safe. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, that's not to say there's not a ton of great creative out there, because I've worked on some spots that are terrific.
Yeah.
Really creative writers and good concepts and stuff. But, I still don't understand why we don't see more interracial couples, because anytime you go out, there's so many interracial
They're
couples.
there, yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So do you ever is it something that you're not really allowed to do or expected not to do, or is it just something that
It's not something that's sort of specifically outlined. That being said, it's not. Listen, I don't have to tell you that you guys watch television. How many times have you put on the TV?
Yeah.
Although I did see an eHarmony spot last night where there was an interracial couple. Gosh darn it, I was damn proud to see that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also because it's like reflecting a dating scene that they want to reflect actual real life as opposed
But
to the
that
commercial
is
one.
exactly, and that is real life. That is
Yeah.
real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How much of the projects that you cast, do you think a lot of them then rely on stereotype?
I wouldn't say stereotype, but like I said, I think that there's a safety,
Like
and
archetype.
it really depends on what spot, right? I mean, if you're doing, we've all seen. Well, I don't want to start calling out creatives and
Yeah,
calling
yeah,
out
yeah.
spots, but you see TV. A lot of the spots are pretty safe. There are some that really push the envelope, that are really creative and really funny. Those are the ones that make you laugh. And then there's the Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
Those ads. But I think that a lot of the really solid creative is moving to the internet, which is viral videos.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a safer audience. You're not going to offend as many people. And, you put something on YouTube, I think advertisers have more reach on Facebook and YouTube than they do on traditional TV now. And that's what's really changing the industry.
Yeah, that's where it's all headed. Is
It
just
seems so, yeah.
free video, but it seems like the only way you can pay for it now is ads.
Well, I know for myself, I'm a TV junkie. I used to be a TV junkie, but I'd say predominantly I get most of my news and information from the internet.
Oh yeah.
I'll watch TV when I'm in bed, when I'm winding down. I'll watch the news or I'll do something. But most of the time I'm on the internet.
Yeah. I find that actually just reading the newspaper, I find it really depressing. There just doesn't seem to be too much. I mean, I'll pick up a copy of the Toronto Star just from my school, and it'll just be 12 stabbed here.
Yeah, well.
It just.
Put on CNN, you'll love it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
You gotta love that, eh?
Yeah.
I was wondering. Some people say that when casting directors cast people, they tend to have their three favorite people for a certain role. Their three favorite moms or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you have anything like that, or do you usually try to mix it up as much as you can?
I try to mix it up, but I'd be lying if I said there aren't people that are, for lack of a better word, sort of staples, if you will.
Yeah.
People that I consistently bring in because they always deliver.
Reliable, yeah.
When the session is wrapped, the feedback is always great. They always come prepared. They've got a good attitude. And then there's the human factor, they're appreciative. They're polite. They're well-mannered. There are
important.
certain people. Well, listen, and I'll be honest with you. There are so many actors and so few jobs that any time a casting director brings you in, you should feel, thankful. I mean, not that I feel like I'm wielding this power, but that's the truth. The truth is that if a casting director brings you in, when there are 300 or 400 people and there's 20 or 25 or even 30 slots and you get in, that's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Because one thing I
Step in
tell
the right
actors,
direction.
you're all replaceable. Everybody is replaceable. I don't care how good you are, and I'm talking from a commercial perspective. No matter how good you are, there is always 50 other girls that look like you or guys that look like you. Although there's nobody that looks exactly like Randy C.J. Thomas.
That's what they all
course not.
say.
Yeah, there's just nobody out there.
Okay,
there we
got
go.
it.
All
Okay.
right. All right.
We're looking
How do
at
we
the
get this up
headshot.
here?
That's you got to go to Randy's Facebook. Is that an old one? See, to me, that's a good reflection. That's a much can you bring up your old headshot?
Yeah, I'll do that too.
Just go to www.makeawishfoundation.com and click on the link that says Randy C.J. Thomas.
You keep talking.
So I had a question about how you work with the directors, like how you interpret what they tell you about what they want and how you try and bring in someone who fits that description.
It's all, it's based on different relationships that you have with different directors. There are certain directors that, that are from out of town. When they come in, I'll go have a beer with, hang out with, and there are ones that I've just worked with. But pretty much, like the ones that you're close with, like a lot of the guys that I'm friends with that I've worked with over the years know that I have a comedy background, so they'll trust my input. There are certain guys that'll say, what do you think we should try here? Or if we're in a casting session, I'll say, well, what if we did this? And they'll be receptive, whereas some guys will be like, you just don't want to do that, because they'll be like, who the hell are you? You're the casting director, not the director. And that's cool. So you kind of, like you guys, you just have to sort of play the room and
pick your battles a little bit.
And get a vibe for who you're working with. But predominantly, if a director tells you what he wants, you do it.
Yeah.
You do it. You don't, I'm not going to say, well, I don't think I like that. I'm the casting director. Why don't we try it like this? No, whatever they want, they get. I mean, it's a service industry. I'm there to please my clients. If they walk away happy, I'm happy.
So is it more like you don't necessarily see the project right to the end? You just sort of move on to your next thing.
Well, I see it pretty much to the end. I mean, I see it in its inception, where it's an animatic or it's a storyboard, or just a script, and we see it play out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they retweak it, they rewrite it. But one thing about commercials, which I like, it's sort of you move them in, move them out. You work on a job, you give it everything you have. Mm-hmm. Job gets booked. Okay, you're on to something else.
That's great. It's gonna be a good way to work in the film industry for sure.
It's fun. You know what? Like I said, it's feast or famine. When it's busy, and when it's not, it's cold.
Are there certain times of the year that are really busy? I mean, is there like a Christmas season for?
You know what? People have asked me that, and I've even actually looked at my own personal books and to sort of get a vibe. It's really hard to gauge. I think clearly the summer months, as it gets warmer, it gets a little bit busier, but. Man, I'll tell you, the months fluctuate from month to month. It's really hard to get like a real, like if I were to say, well, I'll cast this many jobs per month. I've done the most I've done in 1 month is I did 17 jobs, which was insane. And then, you can have a month where you do 2 or 3. Wow. It's really unpredictable.
Is like maybe a normal month about 10? No,
I wish. That'd be great.
That'd be cool, eh?
If you know somebody, make the
I'll
call.
let you know.
Yeah, for sure. No, like I said, it's like a cardiogram. It's all over the place. You just kind of take it as it comes. And also, because it's really relationship oriented. So, the directors that you work with can be really, really busy, and all of a sudden they're not. And if they're not working, you're not working.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, other casting directors who have relationships with other directors, all of a sudden these directors get hot and they're flown in. They've got 4 or 5 jobs. Beautiful. So sure. It's really hard to get. Like if you were to say, if I was to do a monthly budget and sort of try to figure out what I'm going to earn this month, I'd be like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
No clue. Yeah.
So when you work with the director, is it hard to interpret what kind of character they want? Like have you ever just totally miscast
No.
a work? No.
I mean, it's
pretty easy to do.
You know what? I can't speak for other people. I mean, I always listen. It's a really unique and individual kind of vibe, right? I mean, we all view it. When you're looking at 300 actors or 200 actors, and you're bringing in 25 or 30, it's really subjective. It's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So it's hard to miss that much. I mean, but that being said, there's sort of a thing that goes on with casting where, listen, they always want more options because. Hey, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Why wouldn't you? So you can bring in 25 people and they'll be like, there's some really good people, but is there anybody else? And you're like, yeah, of course there is. So you tack on to a recall session, you bring in another 10 girls or another 10 guys, just, for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Right. Just to see what it yields. You never know. Sometimes someone in that sort of next 10 will get booked, and sometimes somebody from the original session will get booked.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've never had a director just like tell you like this is not what I want and totally restart?
Sure I have.
Oh yeah, okay.
Sure I have. But that listen, I'm not going to pass the buck. But realistically, I mean, if a creative isn't executed and doesn't come off, it's really not my fault. If I'm bringing you good actors, listen, you can bring a director in and he's having a bad day and he's jet lagged and he's working with these actors and he's just not getting out of them what he needs to get because he's not in the right headspace, and you're wasting all these amazing performers where I've worked with in the past, directing them, and I'm like, I can extract that. I can get that. You want that to be funny, I can make that happen. You're just not giving it its justice. We got to go to break.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a break, but we'll be right back after this. Hey, everybody.
I'm going to look like Teen Wolf is basically what I'm going to look like.
All right, guys, focus. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the green room. Just chilling out here with Steve Mann, talking about,
Hairlines.
hairlines.
Yeah, my hairline.
Creeping
Casting,
hairline.
that kind of
Yes.
thing, helping you guys out, figuring out how to impress the casting director. We're gonna switch it over now to the union versus non-union stuff. A little bit about that. What do you have to say about that? What do you think?
It's really it's an actor's call. What's going on?
Just keep going.
Oh, keep going. Don't panic. Do not panic.
Keep it together.
Listen. There's a lot of non-union work in the city. There's a lot of union work. It's an actor's choice. I always feel that like a union performer, there is certainly a little bit more of a polish, and that comes with experience. That being said, there are some really, really talented non-union actors, and there are a lot of actors that have remained non-union and are cleaning up just because they get in for union auditions as well, and when they book a job, they'll buy a permit and they'll remain non-union. It's really your choice. I always say that remaining non-union gives you an opportunity to sort of get your teeth wet and to, get your teeth wet. Is that an
Teeth
expression?
wet.
I mean feet.
It is now.
Get your teeth
I'll
wet.
just start using
Ladies and
it.
gentlemen,
Yeah.
Steve Mann.
I like it.
It's a Steve Mannerism. To get your feet wet and to sort of just get more comfortable. Because the one thing that most actors deal with is nervousness, right? I mean, when you get up there and the cameras are rolling, you get a little freaked out. And it's the ones that are able to hide it better are the ones that come across, a little bit more polished. So it's really your call. I can't make that call. All I can say is that, one advantage to a non-union job is that we can bring in a lot more people.
Yeah.
And you are competing against a little bit more of a diluted talent pool, if you will. There's an actor rule where we can't bring in two people that are auditioning for the same role in the same audition, which is cool. So if I'm doing, let's say, I have 1 hour or 2 hours to cast moms, and usually we schedule them every 5 minutes. So if we're doing, 1 every 5 minutes, it's an actor audition, well, we can bring in, 5, 10, 15, 20, like 12 people, let's say. I don't know if that's the exact math, but if you're doing non-union, I can bring in 3 at a time and get in 40 people to the 12.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, from a casting perspective, it's great because we're essentially covered. Although, there's a lot of I don't want to say there's a lot of crap, because that wouldn't be right
That'd be
to say
horrible.
that there's a lot of crap.
Horrible.
But there's a lot of, people that come in that you're just like, okay, who told you that you should be an actor?
Yeah.
I don't care that,
Well, Simon
you're animated
Cowell
at your cousin's bat mitzvah, but doesn't mean that you should be, getting headshots and all of a sudden, so you can work your family dinner table. That does not necessarily make,
You an actor, yeah.
yeah, or go out and get an agent and take this thing really professionally, I mean, I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people that come in and they're all swagger, but whatever. It's volume.
You got to bring the heat. Yeah.
You got to bring the heat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that expression too.
You got to bring the heat. You got to get your teeth wet, and you got to bring the heat.
Sink your feet into it.
Sink your feet into it, your teeth into
We're just gonna
it.
get
Nice.
whole body
Those
into
Steve
this.
Mannerisms. What was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Have you ever? I guess you probably wouldn't, eh? Have you ever cast a bunch of people that you think are really talented, and then you watch the commercial and it's just totally the fault of the directors or writers, and it's just garbage? And do you ever feel bad that you put those people through that, or do you feel at least they
No,
work?
listen. You know what? Once they're on set, it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
I have no control. My job is to make sure that the director and the advertising agency and the creative team are happy with the options that they're provided with. So they're getting performers in there that can execute the creative and do a good job and bring to life, words, which were words and text. And listen, sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. I can't be held accountable for that. I have been at times, but that's only because when something isn't working, there has to be somebody to blame. So you're not going to turn to the director and say, what are you doing? You'll turn to the casting director and say, what are you doing? Because it's easier. And that's fine. And I've taken heat in the past, and that's cool. I have no problem with that. All I want to do is make it better.
Right.
You know?
Probably what keeps you in the industry.
Oh, yeah. I
I
think.
would assume, yeah.
I think, yeah.
That and talent.
Maybe
I
that's
guess.
maybe that's a secret.
Yeah. Don't
There you
screw
go,
up.
everybody. Write that one down.
Yeah, write that down.
So, if you weren't a casting director or a comedy writer, because you already did that, what would you like to do in the industry if you had to?
I've always toyed with the idea of directing myself. Listen, I've done a lot of things in the business. I love the industry. And what I tell actors is that it's a great industry. It's like a tree with many branches. So not everybody's going to make it as an actor, but it's the environment and the people that you get to work with. You can produce. If you can produce, you can write. If you can write, maybe you can direct. Maybe you're technically inclined and you can be on set doing something in a technical way. Maybe that you could be. Listen, there's food stylists. I mean, there's so many different things in that chain of production that might be a good fit. So I always say just stick with it and just see where it takes you. Like I never thought that I would wind up as a casting director. I really didn't.
Right.
Especially when I'm auditioning all these comedians and I'm looking at them and I'm just like, there's still that part of me at times where it's just like, shit, let me in the ring, but I can't.
Yeah.
Now, you said you started off as a child star, right?
No, not far from
No?
a star. I did commercial auditions. My mom was a
shout out.
casting director, and I would go in for commercials. And I'll tell you something, I hated it. And that's why I kind of moved into radio, because I'm really uncomfortable in front of the camera. And, I'm that guy that we can be at a party and I can entertain you and I can be around friends and I can have stories and make it all work. But as soon as you put
a camera
me,
in your face,
I suck.
The big lights. It's intimidating.
Yeah, it's very intimidating, and that's why one of the things that I do, and I'm actually glad that I sucked as an actor, because it's kind of given me an enhanced sensitivity to the actors that come in for me, because I know more than anybody how difficult it is.
Yeah.
To be in front of the camera, and I know how difficult it is to sort of battle the nerves, and I know what you go through when you're waiting in that waiting room, and all of a sudden they're like, "Okay, you're next," and you're just like, oh God, like I know that feeling. I've had that feeling. So when they come in, I don't want to say I try to nurture, but I get it. I get where you're coming from. I get what you do. I understand, I get the gig. I get it.
So they screw it up once and they want to redo it. It's not.
I'll let them
too big
redo
of
it.
a-
No,
yeah.
listen, if like I said, if the director isn't there, you can redo it. Listen, I want you to walk away feeling comfortable with what you did. There's no need for you to beat yourself up even more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're not working against people. You're
No, listen, if you look good, I look good. If you do a good job, it's in my best interest for you to do a good job. And I will do whatever I can do to ensure that you walk out of there feeling good about yourself. That being said, there are people that come in. Listen, just like in life, you come across people that just rub you the wrong way.
Yeah.
You're not going to be as receptive to them. You're not going to be like going out of your way. And I'm not saying like I've never sabotaged, but there are certain people that come in there and just like, dude, like really, get out, like bye-bye.
So you ever see any Simon Cowells of the casting world? Any?
Yeah.
Just rip actors up. Or?
Not necessarily rip actors, but listen, I mean, you're dealing with really, eccentric, creative, a whole sort of a real vast kind of. There's so many different people, and there's so many directors, and there's so many styles.
Yeah.
I feel that the ones that are a little bit more, again, I use the word nurturing. I mean, because actors are really ego-driven, and if they're bruised, they're not going to step up.
Yeah.
If you make them feel good and feel confident, they're going to give you more. But I've worked with some directors that, you watch it, and you're just like, oh man, like I would hate to audition for you.
Yeah.
And then you see ones where they're just great. They're great. Most of them are great. The truth is, there are different levels of skill. Just like in actors, there are directors that are new. There are directors that are polished. It's really, yeah. Good night, everybody.
I feel like that's one of the things that sometimes we forget. It's not just actors who have to worry about making a good impression, but also, you need to remember that casting directors and directors, they want to see people who can work with.
Yeah,
who can
totally.
help them.
Like like a lot of actors, they may be intimidated from casting directors, and we're just like you. We're just really, when you strip it down, my goal is to pay the rent, like you. My goal is to have money in my pocket to provide for my family. So we really have that in common. I mean, I need you guys to do well. I need actors to come in and come prepared. I don't like it when actors don't come prepared because, as I said, there are, you only have a few limited spots. And, when you waste one, when you throw one out, if you've got 20 choices and 3 of them just show up and they're not prepared, if there was a script, and they come into the casting room and they introduce themselves, and I'll stop the camera, I'll say, okay, so let's do a take. Let's sort of bring to it what you want. You got the script, right? Mm-hmm. There's a script?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just like, damn. Like where are you at? Why didn't you find out? Why didn't you not have the script and the 17 others have it? So
it just makes you look terrible. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make me look terrible because if somebody really tanks, it makes them look bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But if somebody is really bad, unless it's like so bad it's good, right? Like it's like sometimes you'll leave something on that is so horrid just because you're friends with the director and you're like, dude, you got to check out number 17. You've got to see it. Like you cannot pay for that.
A la American Idol.
Like it's like those moments.
Yeah.
We see that. Like I've seen moments like that. But then there's sometimes there are people that are just so bad that I don't want to present them to client. Like I will take them off the tape because what's the point? Nobody wins. You don't want to be viewed like that. And I certainly don't want people to think like, why would you bring this guy in?
Yeah.
So I'm
but
guessing,
it doesn't happen often.
It's much worse to be unprepared for an audition than to honestly just not quite have a grasp of what you're saying, what you're delivering.
Well, listen, like anything in life, you have to be prepared. You'll get your audition the day before. But when it comes to commercials, a lot of times, how much prep can you put into an SOC audition? There's no script. You just got to be yourself. You just got to come in and just chill and like the casting director or the director will say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And just make sure you listen. Like I know a lot of times when I was growing up, when I was in school, I was that cat that always listened but didn't hear. Because I was so nervous. I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I would have, and then as soon as I say action, it would just like wipe the slate clean. But you're listening, like it's important to you, but your mind is racing.
Yeah,
you're thinking of like, okay, listen, make sure, what do you say? Do I go left? Do I go right? Like, you just got to relax.
A lot to process, yeah.
And if you have a question, ask it. It's better to ask than not to ask. Even if you're like, it's like when you were in school and it's like, teacher's like, does everybody understand that? And you look around, it's like, nobody else putting their hand up. I'd be like the dude, like, no, I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm the only one here that doesn't get it, but I need clarification. Be that person.
Yeah.
It's better off. You're better off, as long as it's like not ridiculous. Like where's the camera?
Right in front of you, dude.
Yeah. So within reason.
Yeah. Totally.
Better to ask than to.
It's always better to ask.
Play it too cool.
Totally.
I have a little piece of advice that I got one time, and I just want to run it by you because
Sure.
I don't know if it's absolutely ridiculous or if it's valid. I was told that if you get called back for an audition, it's sometimes a good idea to wear the same thing so that the casting director or the director remembers you, knows who you are. Is that
No, you know what? Listen, listen. On one element, on one level, sure, it doesn't hurt because if they liked you the first time, why not? Wear the same thing. But to me, that's really small potatoes. Like really, when you come in, if they call you back, remember the first session, it perhaps was the casting director that directed you, and the director and the agency liked what they saw. Yeah. But now the director is going to work with you, and we all see things differently. So you could be asked to do something completely different, or it's somebody else's vision, it's somebody else's thing. So it doesn't hurt. Look, if you're going in and you wore like a pair of jeans and a t-shirt for your audition, that's cool. You don't want to go in your prom dress the next time, even though like you look great at prom. It's like, no, listen, I look really good at my prom. Doesn't matter, like you don't want to wear that. You want to kind of remain consistent.
Yeah. So it's not about not necessarily about like wearing the same thing, but if it worked once, it might work again.
It might. I mean, I suggest you wash the outfit if it's.
Probably
it
a good
depends
idea.
on how often. Like, I mean, if it was a Monday audition for Tuesday, maybe that's cool, but
Don't sleep in it.
don't sleep in your
Yeah.
wardrobe. Yeah, and intend to wear it the next day.
So for actors, got a few things on the table. We got good headshot. That's important.
Yeah, good headshot.
Polite to the casting director.
Polite to everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
Everybody.
It's the whole industry. You gotta be
It's
polite.
life.
Yeah. There you go. It's life.
Like I've said to people, like it really doesn't apply to the industry. It applies to life. I mean, you treat people with respect and consideration, you will get that back. Mm-hmm. You are all replaceable. You got to carry yourself with confidence, but with humility. And you have to be humble and don't get too big for your britches because it doesn't look good.
No.
It really doesn't. Like, just Keep it real.
Don't wanna
You also never know where the people around you will be. Like that ASM might be directing you in
Listen,
3 years.
That's, you know what? I'll tell you something. I remember a story where there was a girl that became a director who was a PA, and as soon as she became a director, she said to me, "Don't bring this person in because they completely dissed me on set."
Whoa.
And it's like you never know who you're talking to, and forget the whole sort of social climb. You shouldn't be disrespecting anybody because really you're
don't have the
actors.
right.
How many actors make a living? How many actors are actors full-time that make a living, that are extraordinarily successful? Like, if you're not Keanu Reeves or like some big Canadian hotshot, like, you shouldn't be disrespecting. We shouldn't be disrespecting anybody. Period. Treat everybody like they were, that you're equal.
Yeah. Simple
just-
stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
How important is it for an actor to be early to an audition? If an actor's late, is it basically just?
It's a deal
Is
breaker,
it just
isn't it?
that's
Hey,
it? You're-
you know what? For me, listen, I have so many agents that call me after I call a job out, and they're like, "Listen, can I switch this person's time? Can this person be late?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." On a recall, no. On a recall, because the agency has either paired you up with somebody, it's a really tight callback, so I don't have that flexibility. But like tomorrow, I mean, I'm doing one category from like the first category that we start at 10 and we go to like 12:30, and it's like if someone's in at 10 and their agent calls and like, "Can I come in at 12:30?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, as long as you're there before lunch because I want to eat."
Yeah.
So as long as you're there before 12:30, cool. I got no problem with it. So no, it's not a big deal. And not to be it. I mean, I've heard casting directors yell at agents and make a big deal. Like, to me, whatever. Like, it's all good. Just show up.
You
Show up
sound
and come
pretty
and
easygoing.
come correct and be prepared.
Yeah.
I guess it can depend too from one casting director to the next, one director to the next.
Totally. Everybody's different. Everybody handles their business differently. Everybody approaches their business differently. I take a real chill, laid-back approach. That doesn't mean I'm not professional and I don't take it seriously, because I do. I take it very seriously.
Yeah.
This is what I do for a living. This is what puts bread on the table and pays the bills. So there's no margin of error. There's as little margin of error for me as there is for you. But that doesn't mean that I have to walk around and be
mean
so
about it,
intense about it. Like, it's really, I'm not splitting the atom here. Like, I'm a casting director. I'm not really changing the world, although.
Little by little.
Might be
Yeah, really.
One commercial at a time.
Yeah,
one
no doubt.
actor's meal at a time.
Yeah, no
There you
doubt, no doubt.
Fair enough. Are we?
Taking a break, breather. All right,
What is that noise? That.
Just the chair. Yeah. Well, why don't we take a quick commercial break and we'll see you in a second.
All right, cool.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Green Room on that channel. .ca.
Calm.
Sorry,
Calm,
my bad.
calm.
My bad. It's always a toss-up.
We're still Americanized.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
But isn't there
Sold out.
there's also .tv.org,
Could be that.
Yeah, there's
.net.
.net?
Yeah, crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
So many dots.
//
Yeah.
So we were wondering, what is like the craziest experience you've had casting? Like the weirdest part, or what
Most
crazy?
bizarre audition moment.
Yeah.
I'll tell you two quick things. First one is we worked on a series called Body Language, which was with Zalman King, who is famous for Red Shoe Diaries, and he was the writer, or I think the producer of 9.5 Weeks. And basically, we had to go to strip joints and cast. And it was pretty awkward. Like, you'd think, like, wow, that's a really good gig. But it's when you're there to work, it's not like I was kicking it in the front row, like, yeah, I'll have another Heineken. Hey, like it was work. So, and then there was, but it was interesting. I met a lot of really weird people because it was one of those series where it wasn't really actor driven. It was just like we needed people that would do nudity. pretty much. So that was
Did these
pretty awkward.
people know they were auditioning? Were you just
Yeah,
kind of
no,
like,
they
"Let's
knew.
try"?
They knew. No, they totally knew. We were calling strip joints and looking in the back of like the Now magazine and all these sort of weird papers looking for people that we thought, because you can't call like a top flight agency and be like, who'll work for a non-union series and do complete full like simulated sex scenes. Like not many people will do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require a real sort of a Stanislavski background, if you will, to do that. You can do it at home with a webcam.
People do.
Yeah, people do. Rob Lowe. And then I did a spot for Dentine Ice. And I was actually telling you guys quickly this story off camera that was really weird because the whole concept of the spot was these, this young couple is sitting in the living room with their parents, and the girl takes a piece of gum and all of a sudden kind of gets a little heated and just starts making out passionately with her boyfriend in front of the parents, and the parents just kind of look at each other. So on the callback we had like 5 guys and like 20 girls, so each guy had to go in like 4 times, which was a tough gig for them. And we got to the last guy who went in, and there were like 4 girls or 5 girls left, and one of the girl bit his lip accidentally because the kissing had to be really passionate, had to be like way out there.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's like on top of him, another thing.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not like
it was on a couch, right?
Yeah,
So like they would
to
jump on
tackle
top
them,
and attack them, and his lips started to bleed, and the other girls didn't want to kiss him because it was like bleeding pretty bad. So he had to leave, and the agency guys come up to me and were like, what are we gonna do? I said, I don't know, and they're like, we need you to sit in there. I was like, oh my god, like, are you serious? And like you have to understand, like I work with these people, like. It's not like I'm, at a frat house. I'm like, yeah, I got to sit and make out with, all these 20-year-old girls.
Exactly.
Like, it really wasn't fun for me.
This is kind of embarrassing.
Well, it was uncomfortable because these are people that I work with every day. So I go in, I do a couple of the scenes, and by scene 3, it was starting to get okay. I thought
you were minding it, yeah.
I was, it's worse gigs. But then the moment of zen for me was. The girl walks out of the casting room, and I was also running the session. And the other girl in the waiting room looks at her and she says, "How did it go?" She's like, "It was really good, but you got to kiss the old guy."
Ouch.
And then I realized that I am the old guy.
Not looking forward to that.
Good night, everybody.
Now wait, did you have
Come
to
on.
kiss the lip biter? Were you scared at all?
I'd have to kiss the guy.
No, the
No,
lip
the
biter.
Oh no,
Not-
she.
not
Oh
the
no.
lip bitey.
She was
Yeah,
out
no,
of there.
she went
Didn't
home.
get the
no,
part,
she.
I guess,
Yeah,
so.
I don't remember who got the part, but no, oh God, no, she left. And then there was actually one other girl who was like way young that I would have kissed. Like she was just one of those girls that looked like she was 23, but she was like really like 18 or something like
Oh,
that.
man.
And honestly, God, I remember saying to the agency, "This girl is like young. I'm not doing it. Like you're gonna have to like hook her up with a pillow." And she found out that they had to kiss the old guy, and she ran into the bathroom crying, like she was like really scared, right? So I go out to her mom, I'm like, "Listen, like I wasn't going to, like don't worry,
Yeah.
like we're gonna hook her up with a nice throw pillow, like plush,
premium grade.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's pretty.
it's
And then I've seen
pretty
people fall. I've seen people fall down. I've seen people hurt themselves. I've seen. Listen, let me tell you something.
Seen it
After
all.
12 years, I've seen some crazy shit in that room.
Do you keep any like ice packs on hand, or do you have like first aid kits around now?
We have a first aid kit. We haven't really had to use it that much, but it doesn't hurt to have
You
one.
never know.
You never know. You never
The
know.
guy with the bleeding lip probably, was happy.
Yeah,
about
but
it.
listen, he couldn't care. He was having such a good time. He was sorry he had to leave.
Yeah. It's
It was
True.
he was pretty.
4 girls in, not too big of a
Just
deal.
like, oh
None
no,
of-
I'm fine. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. As he's like oozing, and he was a hemophiliac. He was covered in it. It's like, I can go more. I can do more. I'm like, dude.
The girls aren't going to want to kiss you
Yeah,
now.
no. Unless we get you need a
Vampire
transfusion before your next slate. It's like,
Good to go.
give me a break.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was fun.
So that would probably be like the craziest.
Yeah, listen, every day you never know what's going to happen. It's like you guys come in, I don't know what. I mean, listen, I'll be honest, there are people that have come in where I look at them and I know there's something like they had a drink or they did something before the audition. You just look in the eyes, you're just like, there is something wrong there.
It's
That is
not
not
in the right
somebody
state, eh?
that just woke up at like 10 o'clock in the morning, like all chipper. But listen, you know what? Different strokes for different folks, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not my call. I know who comes in that's a little bit out there. I know who doesn't, but whatever. I've seen it all.
Well, that was a lot of great stories.
Yeah.
It was great having you on the show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Steve.
Thanks,
And,
guys.
all right,
Thanks
well,
so much
you.
for coming.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's the Green Room on thatchannel.com. Still learning. So see you next week, hopefully. Have a good one.